Hey comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do the countdown, episode number 118. That's right, guys. If you've never watched the countdown before, this is the video series where I count down from my least favorite comic book of the week all the way to that top spot of the week. And man, guys, this was a hefty week. I can honestly say after this week, I was exhausted from reading so many comic books this week. Altogether this week, there's 20 books that we're going to be talking about. And so, plus I read some of the classic books that I read also. So, but 20 books that we'll be talking about, and a lot of it has to do with all new Marvel Now, some new DC titles. So, with that being said, guys, let's just jump into the countdown. And let's start off with number 20. And number 20 wasn't necessarily a bad book for me, but this was the last book that I read for the week, and I just did not have it in my heart to sit there and read through this behemoth of a book. All I can say about this particular issue is that it's surrounded by the Squadron Supreme, and it's really an advertisement of all the other Avenger books that are coming out. The book is priced at $5.99, but again, it goes around all the other Avenger books. The first story I know was taking place around Vision and Scarlet Witch, and Vision had emotion, and basically he removed those emotions from himself. That's what I got out of the first story. Everything going forward, I tapped out. Artwork in some of these series were pretty good. Others were very anime-ish inspired type of artwork, which I wasn't a fan of. But you know, for what it is, here's a cool picture of Miss America. So for what it is, you know, I'm going to leave it up to you guys if you want to buy it. It's probably still on the racks. It's a preview of all those Avenger books, and that's really honestly what it is, and that's why it costs $6. Otherwise, you can wait and basically wait for those number one issues. So no rating for this one, just leaving it up to you because I didn't read it. Now, for the truly worst book of the week, and you guys might be surprised because I really enjoyed the last issue of this, and this time around it was number 19 this week on my list, and it was Green Arrow issue number 45. This book went nowhere for me this week. Last month, we wound up getting to see George, which is Oliver's new pet, and we got to see kind of the origin story about that, and I liked that. And now we got introduced to these characters that are after the bones, and in this issue, it was Oliver Queen and Tarantula working together to escape these characters, and it spent the entire issue pretty much running away from them with very little dialogue in the story, just descriptions of the characters. Ooh, their dark eyes and their crazy mouths. And when you read this book, it takes you literally 5 minutes to read it. You know, they're escaping, they go into a lady's bathtub, and it was just like there was nothing there. There was a few big explosions, and we get to see how violent these people are, and they stole some crazy bear bone thing, and I was just like, wow, this is not a good book whatsoever. I didn't enjoy it. There was nothing here that I really enjoyed. And then they came across these moths that were inside their vehicle, and they were left in this convenience store with like dead people inside of it. And I was just like, okay, it's darkness, it's madness, and that's like the extent of the dialogue in the issue. And I was kind of left, well, this is a really dark type of book. Oliver Queen doesn't speak a lot, even Tarantula doesn't speak a lot, and like I want to know more about the character, you know, and it just didn't do that. Where the book played off its strength in the last issue by describing the wolf, we get nothing about this Tarantula character. Like, I want to know more about her. And instead, we just get some skeletons chasing around these guys, and you find a dead guy in a convenience store. I didn't get much out of it. You know, maybe it could have been because I read a lot of books this week, but main part of it, when I was reading it, I wasn't interested at all, and I found myself not caring whatsoever. So after reading this one, I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars this week. All right, so next we're going to go forward, and we're going to go on to number 18 this week, guys. And number 18 goes to Old Man Logan, Secret Wars. This is the conclusion, issue number 5. The weakness of this book for me is the artwork. Sorrentino's artwork is great, but you can get lost in the gorgeous artwork and not make out what's going on in here. With this book, we find out that Logan now, within his travels, is in New York, and what happens is he comes across Emma Frost again as he's reflecting on throughout his battle, throughout his journey through Battle World. And he comes through Emma Frost, and he comes through X-Men once again, and again they're having all these talks and who's alive and who's dead. Did he kill this person? Did he kill that person? And I was just like, I was so confused on what was going on in this issue, because again, I feel like you get lost in the artwork, and sometimes you need that artwork to guide you through the story, and it's just like all kinds of weird stuff was going on. Again, it's gorgeous artwork, and you feel the pain that was kind of going through Logan's mind at the particular time, because he kind of remembers what's going on, but in the end, he kind of doesn't. And Emma Frost gives him this whole speech about how she's not a fortune teller, but she knows that he's a great person, and about Doom and things like that. And he knows that he's going to accomplish great things in the future, and it just ends. And it ends with kind of a cool page at the end where we just get, you know, this awesome page of Dr. Doom's face, like, oh, Dr. Doom, you know, that's pretty cool. That's an awesome looking page right there. Again, the artwork is gorgeous. And then it ends with this white flash, and next thing you see is Logan just wakes up in the alleyway. So, and you get to see Spider-Man in the distance there. So, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't like the greatest ending in the world. It's kind of like, what did you get out of this story in the end? Well, all we know is that Old Man Logan is going to be in the new Marvel Universe. So, it was okay. It kind of felt repetitive in the end, because it was like, how many times did we see Emma Frost in this series? So we saw her at least 3 times. You know, it's just like it always flashed back to her. So, I don't know. It was okay. It was nothing special for me. And it got 2.25. I just found myself very bored by it. All right. I mean, this week books had to really impress me in order to get these top spots, because there were so many books. And a lot of books just got lost in the mix this time around. All right. So next we go on to number 17 this week, and number 17 was a couple of the digital books that I read, and that one has to go to Telos issue number 1, the new post-convergence stories that have come out from DC Comics. And with Telos, I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy this book because I wasn't a fan of the character to begin with. He was supposed to be this major villain in the Convergence story, and then he winds up flipping, and he winds up being good, and he winds up going to another dimension, and then that's Telos. So basically, in this book, the writer is Jeff King, and the pencils are done by Carlo Conquelva. The artwork, I must say, is pretty. It's a gorgeous looking book. Telos is drawn wonderfully. There's a lot of attention to details in this book. I thought the colors were well done in this issue. So it is a really good book to look at. And there's cool fight scenes in here and whatnot. But of course, the first thing that you wind up finding out is that what does Telos go after? He goes after Brainiac, and he winds up fighting Brainiac. And him and Telos, in the end, wind up making this deal where he has to, I guess, conquer this planet once again. And then in order to do that, Telos can get his family back. So that's really what the story entailed here. again, this is a book that I'm not going to be reading on a regular basis, but I just wanted to check it out to see what it had to offer for its readers, and maybe you guys might be interested in the book if you were a Telos fan from Convergence. Again, it was a pretty book. It goes back into what happens to Brainiac and his whole cancer problem and everything else. But if you're not a fan of Brainiac, if you're tired of him, if you're tired of Telos, this might not be a book for you. And so I give this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. So again, I wasn't interested in the story that much, but the artwork was gorgeous. All right, next we go on to number 16, and number 16 this week was a Marvel book, and this was another digital book, and this was the all new, all different .1 book. And this is another glorified preview book, and I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars because this is truly that book that I would let you guys make a decision if you would want to pick up, because again, it's a preview book. It's like $6, and it surrounds itself around the Contest of Champions series. And this one has to do with Maestro and I think it was the Collector on deciding on which champion they want to bring. And you wind up finding out that they resurrect Stick. And right away, you got Stick from Daredevil that has arisen in the Marvel Universe. And we haven't seen the character in forever. But you did get some good previews. You get to see what Carnage will look like. The type of style artwork that will look like in the series going forward, which looks very dark and very scary, very fitting for the series. This is the way Venom should be drawn. Perfect. So very intimidating like character. You wind up seeing a preview for Guardians of the Galaxy. Kind of looks like this. And so, you know, you get what you get out of these types of books. Helps you make decisions on, you know, which series you want to buy. You get to learn a little bit about S.H.I.E.L.D. In this series, so you get to see a little on S.H.I.E.L.D. And so, yeah, and see what else, other titles that were in here. Let me see. Let's see anything else. Oh, Inhumans. Inhumans seemed to be the most intriguing story of all, as you wind up getting to see a person that was surrounded by the Terrigen Mist and became old and wound up taking youth away from one of the army soldiers or whatnot. And we wound up seeing the character had to make a decision on whether to keep those powers or keep that youth or give that or have him become old again. So that was really cool. Artwork was really nice in there. So we get to see an Inhuman story, and then you wind up getting to see the new Daredevil story as well. So this one had some really good previews in it, which I felt like I enjoyed more than that Avengers book. This one, you know, the way it was laid out, I felt was better. Probably part of the reason was I didn't care about Squadron Supreme, why I didn't like the other one so much. But like I said, at the end of this book, you wind up seeing the resurrection of Stick. And it looks like he might be thrusted into this Marvel Universe or whatnot. So really cool, and I like the artwork in like Contest of Champions and things like that. So this seemed like more books that appeal to me. And I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars because, again, it's $6. It's not necessary, but if you want to find out more about these books, that's where I feel that it's necessary. So there we go. There's our digital books for the week. Next, we're going to be talking about number 15, and number 15 was Batman Detective Comics, issue number 45. I had high hope for this comic, so maybe this is why this was on the lower tier of the books, but this already enters the next bracket, going from 5 to 10. But this was the lowest of those tier of books. And with this book here, written by Peter J. Tomasi, we wind up finding out that we have the Justice League that makes the appearance over at Wayne Manor, and they want Alfred's permission to talk to Bruce and to find out if he's truly lost everything that he once was. And so Wonder Woman winds up using the lasso of truth in this issue and winds up getting him to try to tell the truth if he truly remembers if he's Batman or not. And it is, you know, it's truly taken now to the point where, truth behold, that he is Bruce Wayne. He doesn't remember anything about himself, and they kind of leave him at B. And they're very secretive to the rest of the Justice League that, that Bruce doesn't know that that he was Batman, so they really laid it low. But after all that, that's when the story for me didn't really get that interesting. It became more of a filler than anything, kind of a setup to where Robo Bunny Batman is going. And we wind up seeing him do battle against these fighters, these F-15 fighters, and the Mad Hatters behind everything. And the Justice League kind of team up with Robo Bunny Batman to complete the mission. And in the end, we wind up seeing, very predictable, that the Justice League want to actually have Bunny Robo Batman join the Justice League. And they wind up transporting to some snowfield or someplace in Antarctica or wherever they're at. And they wind up seeing this gigantic creature all in bones. And so that was really the story in a nutshell. And so I find myself going, okay, the Bruce Wayne moments were very interesting. Him interacting with Wonder Woman was very cool. But again, it's like, for some reason, when Commissioner Gordon gets inserted into Batman books, I don't find it nearly as interesting. The one thing I did thought that was kind of cool is to see how Commissioner Gordon would handle his surroundings around the Justice League. That's one of those things that I was really, interested in seeing. And it was kind of cool, but I wanted to see more of those moments. And with all these other books that came out, again, it got kind of lost in the shuffle in an otherwise highly anticipated book for me. So after reading this one, I gave it 3 1/4 out of 5 stars, and it was number 15. All right, so next we go on to number 14 this week. And number 14 was Contest of Champions, issue number 1. Now, I'll talk about my little rant about this from earlier in the week. But this is based off of the video game. And people wrote to me saying that, well, this could be based off of the earlier series. Yes, true. But logo here is based off of the video game. When you play the video game off your mobile phone, all the characters from this comic book are now in that video game. So this is really truly about the mobile game that's out, and this is really, I think, more of a push to keep pushing that video game. This book is written by Al Ewing, and the art is done by Paco Mandino. Paco Mandino's artwork for me is really cool. I enjoy the colors that go along with this book. If you're not familiar with Paco Mandino's art, he did Nova most recently. I'm trying to remember anything else that he's done right now, but I can't remember. But this is based off of the video game. We wind up seeing the British Punisher winds up going into this world thrusted by a crystal, just like it would happen in the video game. And he wind up finding out that he's fighting for his life to survive. He comes across Venom in this issue. He comes across Iron Man from the current all different Marvel universe. He comes across Grey Hulk from the past, and he calls himself Joe Fix-It, which is funny. Devil Dinosaur, and so all these characters are doing battle against each other. And then what happens is you get thrusted into the main antagonist that's into the book, and you wind up seeing that's the Collector, Maestro, and this new character over here, which is called Guillotine. And then at the end, you wind up seeing some mission going on, and it has to do surrounded by this White Fox character. And then right away, you get this backup story learning about the Guillotine character, her ancestors, where the sword came from, what the sword does, which I thought was cool. But I would have loved to see more main story here and develop Guillotine as the story progresses, not as a separate story, especially for the cost of $4.99. And then at the very end of this book, what happens is that, of course, they advertise their video game at the end of it. And it tells you what the game is, the kind of characters that you can get, and everything else. And my thing was, at the end of this book, was that they did such a great job at explaining everything about the game, but how cool would it have been for people that know this game and play this game on a regular basis, or to get more people to play it? Why not put a digital code in here to unlock something, whether it's a character or special items, crystals, shards, anything to, unlock an exclusive something, And I think maybe you could have sold a little bit more copies this way, and as well as introducing the game to people. So this was an average comic. It was a good read for me, but that just kind of bothered me that they wanted to throw in 6 pages about your cool video game, but give no incentive for someone to play it. So that kind of bugged me. And then the whole backup story thing. I want Guillotine to be character developed later on in the series. Give me more of the main story to see if I'm going to like the main story, So that's kind of what I wanted there. So after reading this one, Contest of Champions, for me, number 14 this week, gets a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we go on to Secret Wars, the long-delayed Secret Wars, issue number 6, and this got 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. I got the Daredevil variant this time around, and this book, man, it's like you almost forgot what was going on in this issue. But this book kind of felt like it was all over the place. The pacing was weird. It just felt like nothing was cohesive about the issue. It was very frustrating to read at times, but what you do get out of it, though, is that you wind up finding out or getting that the world around Doom is starting to crumble, and the people that have survived, the 616 universe and survived the life raft are figuring things out, and they're kind of spreading the word of what Doom is. And you wind up getting to see that. You wind up seeing the two Richards work together. You wind up seeing that Spider-Man and Miles Morales come across Molecule Man, and they find out that, he's kind of holding the whole thing together. And you wind up getting some great dialogue between Spider-Man and Miles Morales about an old crusty hamburger and Molecule Man eating it. One of the funniest moments in that book, and that's what made this book shine, was its comical moments this time around. We wind up finding out in the issue as well that we go to the hidden island of Amagado. Doctor Strange is wind up leaving this message with Namor and Black Panther. They come across the Infinity Gauntlet that Black Panther was wearing, which was kind of cool to kind of help them along their journey here. And then you wind up finding out certain elements that Dr. Doom put into, I guess, Sue Storm's head about telling the story about the original Fantastic Four and who they were, and Reed Richards not being a part of that Fantastic Four, which was awesome to hear that. And then you wind up finding out that in this issue that Thanos comes across the shield, which is really Ben Grimm in the series, and Thanos lays it on him and says, "This shit ain't real, dude." And the next thing you wind him up is that after all these years, Ben Grimm sacrificed himself to be the shield to protect Doomastat or whatnot, and he wanted nothing to do after what Thanos told him, and he breaks himself away from the shield, no longer to protect it. So now the shield is broken, and Ben Grimm is on the loose. So there were some good elements in this story of what you found out, and those parts I enjoyed, but I kind of felt like things were separated too much in here. There was no real flow. It felt like its own individual stories, and there's real no cohesiveness, I kind of feel like, in this story. And then all of a sudden one day it's just gonna end, I feel like the Secret Wars story can be told in 16, 17, 18, 19 issues if it wanted to, and it just doesn't have the space for it. And that's why they had to extend it to issue number 9, which is coming out in December, because I feel like there's not enough room here. But this was a decent story, and I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and number 13 on the list this week. Alright, so now, next we go on to Number 12. And number 12 goes to Doctor Strange, issue number 1. Another action figure variant for me. I love the action figure variants, complete with Battle Axe and mysterious hands and the Sorcerer Supreme's eye. That's what you get in this variant cover. If I only wish that they were real toys that popped out of the comic, now that would be pretty badass, wouldn't it? All right, so next, now that I just ripped the tape on my comic, all right. That's why I put the bags and boards afterwards, but these ones came with it. All right. So this book is another new number 1 this week. And if you're a Doctor Strange fan, I feel like you're going to really enjoy this book. If you're not a Doctor Strange fan, the book does a great job at trying to make you become one and trying to make you understand what it's like to be in Doctor Strange's everyday weird world. And you get to see a cool artwork page here. I think it was Ditko that did this, and you get to see an origin tale of Stephen Strange and how he was once a actual oh my god, I can't even think about it right now. He was an actual surgeon. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. And so he's an actual surgeon. And you see how he became part of the mystic arts and how he was training. And you get to kind of live in his everyday world of what he goes through as the Sorcerer Supreme in this issue. The artwork is not my favorite style of artwork. I feel like things can be lost in this artwork, especially when there's so much to look at in the book. And, you know, but there was some cool elements where, you know, everyday world is black and white, and then you wind up seeing everything color is the world that Doctor Strange sees. So I thought that was pretty cool. You get to see him surround himself by his mystical friends, Scarlet Witch being included, one of them, and then you wind up seeing this girl wind up going to his door, and she winds up having some crazy parasite monster growing out of her head, and that's the way it ends, just like that. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty weird. So I'm still on the fence if I'm going to read this continuingly or not, but I might at least give the second issue a try, maybe the third, and see where it goes. And for some people, they may have loved this book, but for me, it's not really my cup of tea. So personally, I give it a 3 3/4 out of 5 stars, but it's a well-told story of what Jason Aaron is trying to do to its readers to try to get them to understand who Doctor Strange is. And that is a great way to introduce a series to somebody. So again, 3 3/4 stars out of 5. All right. So next we go on to number 11. Man, oh man, this is a long countdown. I've talked about 9 books already, and I'm like half hour into it. All right, here we go. So number 11. I should like take a commercial break or something. All right, number 11 is We Stand on Guard, issue number 4. We Stand on Guard is great, and I was told that this looked like Generation 1 Savage from the Transformers, and that was true when you look at it. That's pretty cool. Anyway. In this issue of We Stand on Guard by Brian K. Vaughan, just like the book has always started off, we wind up seeing Tommy and Amber trying to escape the early days of the war. And now you get to see how Tommy and Amber got separated. And we wind up seeing the Canadian or the Americans actually trying to infiltrate this little cabin, and then Amber winds up going underground, and Tommy winds up going we don't know where at that particular point in time. The next point is we wind up seeing that in this book, we see our Canadian rebels trying to get this, I guess, this army type of machine working, and they wind up getting attacked by the Americans, and they wind up escaping. And that's what you really see in this particular issue. And then you get to see a little bit more of what's going on, how the U.S. is having some kind of riots and things like that over water. And this is what this whole war is about. It's about the fight for water, and distillation plants are being destroyed and whatnot. And so we wind up seeing that the senator is talking to I think she was the sergeant or whatnot, and trying to make sure that we're fighting the war over in Canada, not in the United States. And so we wind up seeing, again, a lot of action at the end of this book about how the Americans are trying to infiltrate these rebels and they're trying to attack them. And we have got held in a hostage situation at the end of the book. And Amber is like, light them up, even though that the hostage is still there. And it was like, oh, damn. So the artwork is really cool. The story is cool. I just felt like we didn't get, in the past couple issues now, we haven't got much progression in the story. It's kind of just, it was 2 issues of kind of the same thing. And I want to see more progression when it comes to We Stand on Guard. It seems like a really slow burn right now. I want to see more of Amber and Tommy back in the day, and I would love to see more of what this war is about, of what's going on in the United States. And so right now, every issue, it seems pretty cookie cutter. We get a history, we get something that's going on within these rebels, and then we wind up getting a hostage situation within the rebels. So I kind of want to see a little bit different format going forward with the story. And so this time around, I gave We Stand on Guard 3.75 out of 5 stars. Not dropping it anytime soon, because the story has me so intrigued. All right. Now we go on to number 10, and this, I was a little disappointed this time around with this book because I had such high hopes at the end of the last issue, and this issue, it kind of fell a little bit flat for me. And I guess maybe it had to do with the setup issue or whatnot, and this one was Star Wars Shattered Empire, issue number 2. Great cover here. Really enjoyed looking at that cover. It's like gorgeous with the cover of, I think her name is Shara. I can never remember this chick's name. I'm trying to remember all these new Star Wars people's name, and it's hard to remember them all. But in the last issue, you're left with this, they go to this Imperial base. They wind up finding these plans, and they're like, dude, this is far from over. And that's what Han Solo says in the last issue. And so what happens is you wind up starting off seeing this, you wind up seeing a Super Star Destroyer that opens up in the book. And you wind up seeing that this messenger comes, and this messenger is really intimidating, and you would think oh wow, he's kind of scary. But what happens is you implant the message into the creature's TV-like face, and it was given by Emperor Palpatine, and it was his last mission, his last request before he died. And what happens is he initiates this new operation, and it's called Operation Cinder. And the Imperials are like, yes, my lord. And even though the guy's dead, the messenger just takes off. And so now what happens is the book sits there, and it thrusts you into lots of action, which was really cool. And you get to see AT-AT go in the battle. And this looks like the Imperial post or whatever it was that maybe Han Solo was talking about. And so the rebels go after all these guys, and they start doing this cool dog fights, and you get to see this cool little battle between all these creatures. You wind up seeing the AT-AT get destroyed by these cluster bombs, which is really nice. But I felt like it spent a little bit too much time on that. It took a good chunk of this book, because the issue with this series is that it's only 4 issues long, and this is supposed to be your lead into, The Force Awakens, and it's kind of I don't know, I don't feel like it's going to be long enough, and that's kind of my problem. And a lot of the time we wind up spending out how Shara is kind of worn down, she needs to take it easy, she wants to accompany Princess Leia on a shuttle mission to Naboo, and you wind up getting to see these two talk and interact with each other, which is cool, but I kind of felt like I was reading the same thing from the Princess Leia miniseries. So at the same time, I was kind of, okay, how much time are we going to spend in Naboo talking about things? I mean, that's what they were talking about, how much this is a good government. It's like if you're a Star Wars fan and you read Star Wars, you're going to get it. If you've never read Star Wars before, have never watched like episodes 1 and stuff like that, you're going to need that part to understand. But then at the end of the issue, you kind of find out what Operation Cinder is, and it was Palpatine's request to destroy Naboo by creating all these weather systems and whatnot, and that's kind of how it ended. So I thought it was good, but I thought it could have been better, and this is something that I wasn't expecting out of this series. So it kind of took a little bit of an awkward turn. Now for me, the next issue is going to determine, right, obviously what direction it goes, whether it goes in that up direction or whether it goes down. So we'll see where it turns. I think obviously in issue 3 will be the pivotal issue here. So after reading this one, I gave this one a 3 3/4 out of 5 stars as well. Had good elements in there. Alright, next we go on to number 9. And number 9 is Star Wars Darth Vader. Issue number... What issue are we on here? Issue number 10, guys. Here's another female. Afra is her name. She's the one working along Darth Vader's side to try to help his obsession of capturing Luke Skywalker. And in the meantime, though, everything that's going on, Darth Vader is being investigated because of all these credits that were stolen and whatnot. And he's working with this guy, and this guy's a really good investigator trying to solve this crime that's going on, that Darth Vader was a mastermind behind the whole thing. And he's trying to hope that this guy doesn't figure out things. So to get information, we see Ashra, right? That's her name. Or Afra, Shara, Afra. They all sound the same. We wind up seeing her interrogate this guy about getting information about Princess Amidala on how she gave birth to a son. And she was interrogating this guy, and you wind up seeing 000 torturing the guy at the same time. He's trying to get information from him, and it was pretty cool to see. It's pretty interesting to see an evil version of this C-3PO. So, but again, we wind up finding out that this guy spills the beans, and they wind up killing him anyway. And it's pretty cool. And yeah, this is a good book, and you wind up finding out that at the end that it looks like Darth Vader is being spied upon. So I like this book. This is good. It's kind of interesting to see what goes on behind the scenes of, you know, the movies of what you saw from like Empire Strikes Back and everything else, and Darth Vader's obsession on trying to find Skywalker, and obviously who destroyed the Death Star, and if they're the same person, and it's really cool stuff there. So, and he's using this character as the scapegoat there. So really cool stuff. I like Darth Vader. It's an interesting story. When I first read this, I wasn't sure where they were going to go with it, and it's kind of an interesting direction, especially using this character. But I enjoy the series for what it is. And I give this one a, let's see, 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. I had to write this one down, guys. This was a lengthy list this week. All right, so we're going to continue to push on. We're going to move forward because we're almost there. And we're going to go on to number 8 this week. And number 8 goes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 50. Some people said to me that, Mike, this book was so worth its $8. This was the best book ever. And for some people, if you're hardcore Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans, I can totally get it why you thought that this was a great book this week. However, for $8, this book had to really wow me to get more than a 4 out of 5 stars. Even though it was a good read, for me, it was not a great read. It was drawn out a bit, and I felt that for $8, I thought this could have been a little bit shorter. Now, it's really cool how they did this book, though, because they made it like it was a trade. They put a spine on the book, which is really nice, really cool hardcover. So it's like a graphic novel. And I thought that was really cool that they did that. So obviously you're going to pay a little bit more for that. But this whole issue has been built up to this very moment in time. Sounds like a Marvel title, huh? So it's been built up to this time of these turtles going in this, what they call it? This, this battle. Trying to remember. Oh, the gauntlet. They were going into the gauntlet. The Turtles versus, the minions of the Shredder, and then whoever wins that, or whoever wins that battle, then they got to go against the Shredder, and then at the end, whoever does that, whoever loses that one, then it's the two leaders fight each other, and then whatever happens after that, then that's who's the winner of the whole battle. And so basically what this book is literally just that. You get to see battle after battle after battle after battle between Bebop and Rocksteady and some of the other, mutant freaks that are with the Shredder. And that's basically what you see in this. And as gorgeous as it is, as beautiful as it is, I felt it was drawn out. At the same time, preparing for mental battle, Splinter flashes back into his early days with the Shredder. You wind up seeing behind the scenes, Fugitoid wind up going to try to get Donatello's body back. And you wind up seeing all that. You wind up seeing all these flashbacks. You wind up seeing constant battling. You wind up seeing Donatello get his body back, and it was just a lot. It was a lot to read. And with this week, not only did you get a lot of books, but you got a lot of reading with these books, which is not a bad thing. But I just felt that this was just a lot to read, and it was a little bit drawn out for me, at least. Anyway, because you wind up seeing the Turtles prevail over Bebop and Rocksteady, and then you wind up seeing Shredder prevail over the Turtles, and then you wind up seeing Splinter and the Shredder wind up going battle against each other, which is very predictable, which I've seen before in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books. So maybe that's part of the reason why that it didn't get higher for me, because I've seen this battle before, and I predicted that this was going to happen. That obviously that the Splinter was going to win, and it was pretty cool to see him win against the Shredder as he sits there and slices him and cuts his head and neck off and stuff like that, which was really cool. But the cool thing is Shredder's granddaughter winds up surrendering the Foot Clan to Splinter. And I thought that was cool. That was a good element to the story. Now the Splinter's in charge of the Foot Clan, which I thought was really a pretty cool thing. And Michelangelo can't take it. He can't believe it. And he kind of leaves the team hanging. And then at the end of it all, you wind up seeing General Krang wind up finding out of what happened, and he wants DNA samples. So right away, you can sit there and say, okay, yes, the story's going to continue, but what's he going to do? He's going to resurrect the Shredder in a clone-like fashion. If you remember maybe some older Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in Mirage days, I remember that there was different versions of the Shredder, and he was like creatures-like, and he was like mutants himself, and it was kind of weird looking. So they might do that in this book if they haven't done that already. But it was a great read. It really was. It just felt that it was too drawn out for me, and I thought that it could have been a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit less expensive to make it more affordable in an otherwise hefty comic week. And so after reading this one, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, going forward. Number 7. Number 7, we go on to Green Lantern, issue number 45. I enjoyed this time around because I really enjoyed it. And maybe in another week, this would have gotten in the top 5. But this time we see Hal Jordan, long-haired, trench coat, Constantine-looking Hal Jordan doing battle against Black Hand. That's always fun, right? And so this gave you kind of that more of a true element to what Hal Jordan is about in this issue. And right away, they're parked on this planet. We wind up seeing the first page here. Great artwork by Billy Tan, by the way. You get to see them in this immense battle. And so what happens then is it flashes back. And it flashes back to this certain sector where Hal Jordan had to go to, and he winds up finding out that Black Hand is over there. He turned the entire planet into stone, and he's very depressed, and he's like, I don't know what's going on with me. He's like, I never get to play with the dead again. And so what happens is Hal Jordan kind of goes undercover at first, and he's like, come with me, I want to help you. He's like, somehow you've sucked in some of the source wall's magic or whatnot, and now when you touch things, you turn to stone. And so Hal Jordan, trying to be honest the way he is, he reveals his identity to Black Hand. And right away, he's like, Hal Jordan, and he freaks out, you know? And so what happens is right away they go into this battle, and now Black Hand loves this new power that he has because he feels that he can turn Hal Jordan into stone. And you wind up seeing Hal's, even his constructs wind up turning into stone. And I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome in this issue. And this was a really action-packed battle with them going back and forth. And you wind up seeing the two characters, was it Virgo and Trapper, waiting for Hal Jordan to come back, and they wind up falling asleep. And I thought it was hilarious. But in the end, right when Black Hand is going to touch Hal Jordan and turn him into stone, he winds up getting the upper hand and uses his gauntlet there, and he winds up making this ball and chain and whaps Black Hand right in the face, and basically it just says the end of the Black Hand, a question mark. So what's Hal Jordan going to do with him? Is he going to take him to the source wall? Is he going to suck him up in the source wall? Like, what's going to happen with him? I thought this was a fun issue. It was good. It was nice, action-packed. It was good seeing these two battle again. Love seeing the interactions between these two characters. Black Hand automatically goes freaking nuts when he sees Hal Jordan because of the history that they have with each other. So I like this one, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of fun. Great artwork, too. All right, next we go on to number 6, the book that just got right outside the top 5 this week. And it was Platona, issue number 2. This time around, you wind up seeing, if you're familiar with Platona issue number 1, you wind up finding out that our cast of characters has found this female superhero by the name of Platona, and she's dead in the woods. It's confirmed now that she's dead in these woods, and our kids don't know what to do about it. And you wind up seeing Teddy, who's like the nerd who knows everybody with the superhero community, sits there and says, oh, don't touch her. We don't know what to do with her. And, the kids are puking. They don't know if they should go to the police. They don't know if they should announce that she's dead because they feel that the bad guys can take over the city. So they kind of just like, oh, we don't know what to do with her. So what happens is that after all this tension amongst the group, and I love the facial expressions and the simplistic art in here, and I love the bully guy, his name Ray. He calls these guys Teddy Tucker and everything. And after this long discussion in this book, we wound up finding out that they're going to come back the next day, and they're after school, and they're going to bury Platona, and they're going to get one of Teddy's shovels or whatever and bury the character. And so you wind up seeing them having to keep this secret throughout the night. So you wind up seeing all the characters going home and seeing what they're doing at night, watching TV, keeping it a secret. And then the next thing you wind up seeing is that Teddy winds up having this switchblade and a flashlight, and goes up to Platona, and you're not sure what he's gonna do with this dead body. So I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. Like, where's this kid going with this body? What's he going to do to it, So very interesting. And then you get to see the last adventure of Platona, obviously, before she died. And she winds up going to this building that's rescuing a hostage, and you wind up finding out that the building blows up with her inside of it. And then her daughter, or is it daughter or her little boy, winds up feeling that there's something wrong with her mother. So this book is very interesting. It has me intrigued on what these kids are going to do with this Platona character, and I'm just so curious on where this story is going to go. It's a very original type of story. Jeff Lemire writes it. I love it, and it is. I think it's $2.99, so it's a good price point. So I like this book. So after reading this one, I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go into the top 5. And the top 5 starts off with all new, all different Iron Man issue number 1, written by Brian Michael Bendis, and the artwork is done by David Marquez, which is the same creative team, obviously, as the Ultimate Spider-Man. So right away when you open this book and you expect Dave Marquez artwork, you're going to see gorgeous stuff with this book. You get to see cool armor. You know, we saw that in the preview pages. Facial expressions are right there. We get to see that as well. We get to see good detail in the book. We even get to see a new artificial intelligence that Tony has in his armor, and that is called Friday. And she's a pretty cool character. She has a good personality. And but really what this issue was about in this book is we wound up finding out that Tony is kind of having this realistic approach now, saying, wow, is people, you know, am I not relevant anymore? There's MIT people, you know, got a dare on copying his armor, and they did that, and he gets these articles saying that he's yesterday's future, and so what happens is he feels like he has to step up his game, that he has to create this new armor, and he winds up doing that, and he winds up taking it out on the test run and whatnot, and you wind up seeing that you come across this new AI that's alongside of him, again, with the name of Friday, that kind of keeps him in line, says he has this date with this this doctor, and then what happens is you find out that this doctor has created a cure for the mutant gene, and it was like crazy, and this female was really intimidating towards Tony Stark, and you don't see that so often. The cool thing about this book is Tony Stark is very much Tony Stark in here, has that Tony Stark type of humor. Madame Mask is in this book as well. She goes on certain missions in here, and you wind up finding out that they go to Latveria, to Castle Doom, and we find out that Doom is not there, that he's been missing. Okay, and so when Iron Man makes his appearance, and he comes across this guy, and you wind up finding out that when he does the scan on him, it's that he's the handsome Dr. Doom. You know, no armor, nothing, his face ain't scarred, he's just your normal everyday guy. And it was like, holy shit, that's crazy stuff right there. So it left you with kind of a cool cliffhanger. So the reason why, though, that this got number 5 and not number 1 is that this book was kind of slow, and even though I liked the interactions between this female doctor and Tony Stark, I just felt that it was kind of just like, I feel like the way this book is going to go is that it's going to be a slow burn series, and there's not going to be much progression. We didn't get to see anything that the armor did in this issue. You know, we didn't get to see, you know, you get to see a little bit of the plot on the last page, which left you that good cliffhanger. But it kind of just like a regular Iron Man series. It's kind of like what you would expect. You know Tony Stark's going to be Tony Stark. It's just like I would have loved to seen a little bit more of what this armor would have done. Him create this armor, maybe go on a little bit of a date, then take the armor for like a really good test spin to kind of show its readers what it could kind of do, and then go to Castle Doom or whatnot. I just felt that there's something missing from this book, and I thought this could have been a little bit more entertaining. I don't think you needed a really dialogue-heavy book in the very first issue here. We know what Tony Stark is. We know what type of character he is. But nevertheless, it still was a good read. And I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, number 4. I am winded, boy. I am winded. And if you guys are still watching this, thank you. Because I know this is probably one of the longest countdowns ever. But there's a lot of books to talk about this week. So number 4 goes to Star Wars issue number 10. I love Star Wars, man. I think it's really an awesome book. You get to see Luke Skywalker here doing battle against this creature. The cover is a little weird. I guess it's just the way it's laid out, where his lightsaber looks a little bent, doesn't it? So interesting stuff there. Jason Aaron and Stuart Immonen do the writing and artwork in this book, and right away we wind up getting to see Han Solo's wife flying this new spaceship. And it's funny, in this book, it's referred to as Han Solo's Millennium Falcon as the fastest ship in the galaxy. And Han Solo's wife says, well, he wishes that was the fastest ship, because when he means the fastest ship, he means this ship right here. And I forgot the name of the ship, and if I come across it, I'll let you know as I talk through this issue, recap you through it. But we wind up seeing Chewbacca and C-3PO try to go rescue Luke Skywalker. And they interrogate people, and Chewbacca's method is just destroying droids and trying to find out what's going on. Luke Skywalker is in this arena, and he come across this guy that's called the Game Master that's going to kind of help him through his training while he's in this dungeon trying to survive. And you wind up seeing him do battle against this guy, and he doesn't kill him because he wants him to grow stronger. And it was cool reading this book and just seeing all the things that are going on, how this Jabba wants to have Luke Skywalker fight this creature, and just these interactions between Han Solo and his wife. And it's just a really fun book. And again, I'm still trying to find the name of that book, but Chewbacca and C-3PO's, again, methods of trying to find out where Luke was awesome. Just hanging guy over the edge and whatnot. So, again, good stuff here. Great ending. The only thing that drew me back from this being higher is we wind up getting this bounty hunter Jar Jar Binks type of character. And as soon as he started talking like Jar Jar Binks, he's like, his dialogue is just like you see in the movie, I started freaking twitching a little bit because I can't stand the way Jar Jar speaks, and I just don't like the character at all. And I was like, don't throw that fuck-ass character in this series. I'm like, that's the last thing that you could do. Excuse the language, but that kind of pissed me off a little bit. But in the end, I gave that one a 4.25 out of 5 stars. That ending just pissed me off with that character. All right, now we go on to the top 3, and the number 3 book of the week goes to Image's new Paper Girls, issue number 1. This book is $2.99, and it's a pretty thick book. This had a lot of pages to read in it. Brian K. Vaughan's new series, he's now writing a lot. He's got Saga, he's got We Stand on Guard, and now it's Paper Girls. And this book is high on my list, probably reason being that it's 80s inspired. Everything where this book takes place, it takes place in the 80s. We wind up seeing, in the back of the book, when you get done with it, you have your cast of characters, which is really cool, and you wind up seeing that, again, everything's 80s. Jean jacket, jeans, the main character in here is Aaron. Then you wind up seeing KJ, Mac, who is the Mackenzie, who's like the main tough girl in the group, a tomboy. Then you get Tiffany. So you wind up seeing that these 4 cast of girls are thrusted into this book. And so, again, everything's inspired. And Erin, the main character, it starts off very weird where she has this dream that she's part of has the Challenger, the teacher that blew up in the Challenger, and she's got wings, and she's saying that she's in heaven, and it's just very odd, and you're just like, wow. And what happens is she wakes up early morning, she's got to go on the paper route. And we can see that this book takes place in 1988 during Iraq and everything else. And what happens in this issue is you wind up seeing greater interactions between the girls. You get these little these guys that are causing problems, dressing up as Freddy Krueger and, spray painting and doing all this other stuff. And we get introduced to Mackenzie and her other paper girls, and they wind up going on this route, and they wind up coming across these like strange looking ninja people, and I think this is obviously during Halloween time, obviously. And so what happens is they wind up stealing one of the girls' walkie-talkies because that's how they communicate to each other. And so what they do is they go after these characters, and they wind up going into this strange house, thinking that there's where these characters go. And they wind up uncovering this mystery sheet, and they come across this weird, which looks like a space capsule. And so what happens is when they're investigating it, this weird light comes off, and they exit the house, and all of a sudden you get to see like a black hole, you get to see these constellations, and you automatically feel that something's not right. But right away they kind of get deterred by that, and they see these alien creatures, which I think this could have been some type of portal, and they wind up chasing after these creatures, and they wind up uncovering one of the creatures, and he looks like that, and it's like, holy shit, you know, you're like, oh man. And so what happens is they're like, whoa, and then he's got these weird eyeballs, and there's this weird noise, and then these creatures wind up escaping, and then what happens is they leave something behind, and it looks like a compact, and what happens is Aaron picks this up, and it's a Mac or an Apple product or something, and you're just like, what is that? Is that an iPod Shuffle? Like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know what to think. And so I was just like, it was so weird. So it's like, are they they're in the future? Are they in a different universe? Like, where are they now? So very intrigued. It makes you want to read the next issue, and I enjoy all the 80s elements in this book. I thought this book was just so well done. It was awesome, really, really awesome book, and I love these cast of characters. They're all girls, but they're fun, and I can't wait to read this next one, and I gotta give this one the number 3 spot this week with 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, the moments you've been coming for. The number 2 and number 1 book of the week, and I was debating on what would get number 1 and number 2 the entire week, and I had to come to a decision, and this week's number 2 book goes to The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, our newest volume to the series. Now, this book was really well done. I thought that the main story here, when it comes to Peter Parker learning how he made his money and how he was able to get Peter Parker Industries back on track and become global, I thought was really nice. Artwork, I thought, by Giuseppe Gomacoli was fantastic. You wind up getting to see the introduction to the Spider-Mobile again in here. Once he's made a little bit of money, he upgraded his training. So there was a lot of good elements in this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. And you wind up seeing good interactions with Mockingbird, and Mockingbird is his S.H.I.E.L.D. liaison, which I thought was really fun. And you wind up seeing that Parker, with his money, winds up giving back to charity. He calls it the Uncle Ben Foundation. There's great humor here. There's a lot of Peter Parker moments in this book, which you can appreciate as a Peter Parker fan. And I feel that the character is now grown up. I feel like finally he has a grown-up job, but he's responsible. Not that he's in a grown-up job and then he's irresponsible. Now it comes full circle here with Peter. He's grown up. He's got a nice job. He uses his smart intellect in a good way. He's not taking all the money. He's not a Tony Stark. He's taking mid-level management's pay grade. And what he does is, to cover himself as Spider-Man, he winds up using the Prowler as a replacement Spider-Man, which I thought was really awesome. And so now you get to see the characters that we haven't seen from Superior Spider-Man, which we get to see from Acclamax. Max Modell, you wind up seeing that he gets married. There's a wedding that goes on. And I think there was a lot of fun elements in this book. And the one thing that I can say, though, is if you're picking The Amazing Spider-Man number 1 up for the first time when it comes to this book, is you got to kind of read Superior Spider-Man to understand a lot of these characters and what's going on. When it comes to Max Modell, when it comes to the stories, you're not getting it. Like, this is you really had to read of what's going on. So for a number 1 issue, you have to know who Sanjana is. You know, you have to know who Max Modell is. Like, who are these characters? And this is the one thing why this really separated from the top spot to number 2. And especially the cliffhanger here, because now you find out what Dr. Octopus did as a contingency plan in case things all went south. and he stored his backup brain or his intelligence into the living brain, into the mechanical robot. And I thought, wow, that was genius. And why did I never, ever, ever think that Dr. Octopus would put that intelligence into that robot's brain? I never thought about that. And that stupid robot has been with Dr. Octopus the entire time since Superior Spider-Man, since he took over Peter Parker's body. Never thought that he would stick his backup intelligence in that. Freaking crazy. Brilliant. However, again, if you didn't read Superior Spider-Man, you're kind of like, what happened with Dr. Octopus? Why are they showing his brain inside of there, or his image in this weird robot? So I feel to understand this, you got to go back and read those previous issues. Nice ploy there, Dan Slott. Now the rest of the stories deal with more previews of their own little stories to introduce you to basically 2099, to introduce you to Silk, which, again, artwork looks good. I'll be continuing Silk going forward. Continuing Spider-Woman and Jessica Drew's little pregnancy. And then you wind up seeing Web Warriors. So all these are little preview books or little stories of what's to come. And then, of course, at the end, Miles Morales' new role in The Amazing Spider-Man, on who makes his appearance back as a main villain in this universe, Regent. And I was like, damn, that's freaking awesome. So I thought this was a really good issue. So I loved it. I gave it still a 5 out of 5 stars. Even with that little thing going, yeah, you kind of really have to read what goes on to kind of get the cast of characters and the whole thing with Dr. Octopus in the end. But it was just a great read, and it was Peter Parker was still so in character here, and I truly enjoyed it. So Amazing Spider-Man #1 definitely gets a 5 out of 5 stars. But the book that gets #1 this week, after an hour and 6 minutes of talking about comic books with no food, no water, no going to the bathroom, and that is Batman and Robin Eternal, issue #1. This book was phenomenal, and to think I was on the fence about picking this up, because yes, it is you have to be very committed to get a weekly series, and you have to expect that there's going to be downs and lows to the weekly series. There's going to be art changes in this weekly series, so you have to sit there and say, am I committed to this? Am I going to see this one all the way through, knowing what a weekly series can in store? After reading this one, I felt that this one's off to, I think, even a more solid start than Batman Eternal. Batman Eternal issue 1 was great. I remember reviewing that first issue, and same thing, it was a perfect book. I really enjoyed it. However, this book was just amazing because it had so much mystery, and by the time you're at the end of it, you're just like, whoa, what the hell? But this book is done by James Tynion IV and Scott Snyder, and the artwork is done by Tony S. Daniel, which is brilliant, guys. I mean, if you're reading the current Deathstroke series, he does that series. He also did the, what was it, Superman Wonder Woman series? I think he did it before that. And it was just, it's absolutely gorgeous. The detail that goes into this, the action scenes that go into this book are awesome. Here we get to see, what's her name? Bluebird? Is that her name? I totally forgot her name. Yeah, Bluebird. Harper Row. And you wind up seeing some good pages here with Cassandra Cain, which I thought was just awesome. I mean, again, artistically, I can talk all day about the book. Point being, it's great artwork. The story is awesome. You wind up seeing that all too familiar thing where you see some kid's parents, obviously, right, get shot in front of a movie theater, and you wind up seeing Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Harper Row, right? You wind up seeing them all in this book, and this is cool because you kind of get that Bat family story that, again, that I was talking about a week ago. You get to see all these Robins come together, and we wind up finding out that they were going on this mission. They were working together in the beginning, and we wind up seeing that anything that's not government related, police work related, Commissioner Gordon wants to take them in, and that was Bluebird, and so she winds up escaping, and you wind up finding out how smart she really is because she knows how to stop Robo Bunny Batman's Robo suit in the issue, and then you wind up finding out that there was this charity ball going on for this grand opening of State University Tower of Enlightenment, and Grayson was there, and you see this flashback of this past mission that he went on with Batman and Batman and him dealing with Scarecrow and things that were going on, and what happened is things kind of came back to him, and it started becoming a whole real thing. All these kids wind up going after him, chasing him with guns. His partner winds up betraying him. They wind up following the orders of the mother, I think that was the name, and you wind up seeing Grayson trying to escape. Then he comes across Cassandra Cain, and even though she could have seriously hurt him, we found out that, yes, they're kind of all on the same side. She hands them this flash drive, and what happens is Grayson has to go to the Batcave and winds up going to the computer and winds up finding out and seeing all of Richard Grayson, Jason Todd's, and Tim Drake's, and Harper Row, Cassandra Cain's, all their names is on there, and you wind up finding out that Batman has this dark secret past, something that he's never told to anybody, and he finds this out on this flash drive, and we wind up finding out what happened several years ago, and Batman was following these orders of the mother. And the biggest reveal at the end of this issue is you wind up seeing the coolest artwork page, and this was this, and you wind up seeing Batman with a freaking gun, and he was the one that shot the parents. And I was like, holy shit, that is awesome. And he goes, yes, mother, everything's according to plan. And you're just like, wow, what the hell happened here? So this was a great book. This was so mysterious, and artwork was great. The cliffhanger was awesome, and it so made you want to buy this next issue. And that's what Batman and Robin Eternal needs to do on like every single issue. Have a great cliffhanger like that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen because you're going to expect certain things like that. It's down issues, it's filler issues. But man, if this series can somehow keep up with this pace, it's going to be a very successful book. And if you guys are willing to put in the hard work and the reading and the money each week for this, I think it's going to be definitely worth it. If you can't do it now, then hopefully it will be worth buying the trade later on. So after reading this book, guys, I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. And there you have it. There completes the 20-issue countdown week. One of the most lengthiest ones ever, an hour and 12 minutes long. So guys, there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around if you have. Fans, you've seen the worst, you've seen the best, and you've seen all that other stuff in between. Now it's your turn to put in what your favorite comic of the week was, what your least favorite comic book of the week was. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until that next comic book review, fans, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you soon. Bye.